Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram.
Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Kishore Prabhuji, whenever you're ready, you can start, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Is my audio good?
Yeah, good, Prabhuji, yes.
Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriye. Nashtoprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevya. Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nastiki. Hare Krishna devotees. So today we are going to be reciting these verses from Canto 3, Chapter 29, Explanation of Devotional Service by Lord Kapil. We'll be reading text from 1 to 12 today. So text 1 and 2. Let me read it from the original. Devhuti inquired, "My dear Lord, you have already very scientifically described the symptom of the total material nature and the characteristics of the spirit according to the Sankhya system of philosophy. According to Sankhya system of philosophy. Now I shall request you to explain the path of devotional service, which is the ultimate end of all philosophical systems." Text 3. Devhuti continued, "My dear Lord, please also describe in detail, both for me and for people in general, the continual process of birth and death. For by hearing of such calamities, we may become detached from the activities of this material world." Text 4. Please also describe eternal time, which is a representation of your form and by whose influence people in this general engage in the performance of pious activities. My dear Lord, you are just like sun, for you illuminate the darkness of the conditional life of the living entities. Because their eyes of knowledge are not open, they are sleeping eternally in their darkness without your shelter, and therefore are falsely engaged by the actions and reactions of their material activities, and they appear to be very fatigued. Text 6. Sri Maitreya said, "O best among the Kurus, the great sage Kapila, moved by the great compassion and pleased by the words of his glorious mother, spoke as follows." Text 7. Lord Kapila, the personality of Godhead, replied, O noble lady, there are multifarious paths of devotional service in terms of different qualities of the executor. Text 8. Devotional service executed by a person who is envious, proud, violent, and angry, and who is a separatist, is considered to be in the mode of darkness. The uh, the worship of deity, text 9, the worship of deity in the temple by a separatist with a motive for material enjoyment, fame, and opulence is a devotion in the mode of compassion. Text 10. When a devotee worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead and offers the result of his activities in order to free himself from the inebriaties of the futile activities, his devotion is in the mode of goodness. Text 11 and 12. The manifestation of unadulterated devotional service is exhibited when one's mind is at once attracted to the hearing the transcendental name and quality of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is residing in everyone's heart. Just as the water of the Ganges flows naturally down towards the ocean, such devotional ecstasy, uninterrupted by any material condition, flows down towards the Supreme Lord. I end it here. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kishore Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. When are you ready, Krishna and Prabhu? You can start.
Thank you, Prabhu. Is my audio audible, Prabhu?
Yeah, it's clear, Prabhuji.
Okay. Thank you, Kishore Prabhuji, for readings today's translation. Thank you all for joining. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 29, titled Explanation of Devotion Service by Lord Kapila. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanasalakaya Chaksharoन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामने. नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादि पश्चात्तदेशतारिणि. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. So just to give a background, so in the previous chapter, Kapila Bhagavan, he explained the teachings of this spiritual knowledge to Mother Devahuti. So he described about the Ashtanga Yoga process, starting with Yama, Niyama, like that, like the rules and regulations that a yogi should follow, like truthful, non-violent, etc. And then he also mentions about the form of the Supreme Lord that a yogi meditates within his heart. And also how the yogi should take darshan of the Super Soul, so who is in everyone's heart, starting from the lotus feet, then slowly move to the different limbs of the Supreme Lord. So in this way, the yogi should fix his mind on the Supreme Lord and conquer the Maya. So, and in this chapter, so Mother Devahuti is requesting to explain the devotional service, the devotional service, and also the different types of calamities, miseries that one go through this in this material world, so that by knowing that one can be detached. So now we hear Kapila Bhagavan explaining about the different grades of devotional service, like one who does the devotion service in the mode of ignorance, mode of passion, or mode of goodness. Then Kapila Bhagavan also talks about the pure devotion service. So, and then Kapila Bhagavan explains the influence of the time, the demigods, and all the nature. So everything is working under his directions, like that. So we'll start today from the sloka 1 to 12. And in the sloka 1 to 2, so here we see that Mother Devahuti is inquiring that which he already, she is addressing to Kapila Bhagavan, that he is already explained or scientifically described the symptoms of the total material nature and the characteristics of the spirit according to the Sankhya system philosophy. So now she is requesting to explain the path of devotion service, which is the ultimate end of all philosophical systems. And Prabhupada mentions in the purport that, as we heard, so in the last chapter, in the previous chapters, Kapil Bhagavan explained about the total material nature, how the elements were created, the characteristics, the subtle natures, all those kind of things. So now in this chapter, Mother Devotee is requesting to explain the pure devotion service. Because Bhakti Yoga, or the pure devotion service, is the basic principle of all systems of philosophy. Just knowing the philosophy, or knowing the knowledge of this transcendental process, which doesn't aim for the devotion service, or which doesn't practice based on that knowledge, then it's simply a mental speculation. And someone who does the bhakti yoga or devotional service without any philosophical or without any knowledge, sometimes it turns into a sentiment. So that's why it is stressed that they both should go and hand to hand. Like we need the knowledge, and also one should practice based on the knowledge. So that way one can perfect their life, or they can reach the ultimate goal of the human life. So in the text 3, we hear that so Mother Devavati is requesting to describe in detail, not only for her, even to the people in general. So the process of birth and death, the continual process of birth and death, and also calamities. So hearing such calamities, so the reason why to have this knowledge, so that one can become detached from the activities of this material world. So that is the intention. So, and Prabhupada mentions in the purport that one of the word in this sloka is called samsritaha. Samsrita means continued journey, the process of birth and death towards the darkest region of this material existence. The opposite word is shreyasriti. That means one is progressing towards the Supreme Lord. So that is the prosperous path. And Devotee is requesting here Lord Kapila Bhagavan to give this knowledge, because people who doesn't have this knowledge about this material world or the Supreme Lord, or their relationship with the Supreme Lord, so their activities are making them to go to the darkest region of this material existence. So they may, which means that they may enter into the lower species. So even though they are in human being right now, but they will probably enter into the lower species if they don't have this knowledge and they are not performing the correct activities. So that's why Mother Devotee is requesting, so that people can have this knowledge, and then they can try to implement this knowledge in their day-to-day activities, and can escape at least falling down into the lower species, because nobody wants to take a birth of a pig in the next life, degrading and eating stool like that. Am I right? So, but if they don't have this knowledge and their activities are in align with the activities of the pig, then in the next life it is possible that they will take a birth of a pig. So, but if they have this knowledge and they understand the risk, if they don't do the proper activities, that they will take a birth of a lower species like cat, dog, pig, like that. So then they will take up the right activities, correct activities, so that they don't degrade themselves into the lower activities. So that's why here Mother Devavati is requesting for the sake of all the people, the general people. So, and here in the 4th sloka, she is also requesting to describe the eternal time. So, which is the representation of the Supreme Lord form, and whose influence people in general perform the pious activities. In Bhagavad Gita also Krishna mentions that, time I am, kalosmi, like, is the time. So the time is representation of Krishna. So, and what does the time does? So lokakshaya krita. So it will destroy all the worlds. Like we see that in due course of time, even the gigantic mountain will become powder. So somebody may live longer, somebody may live very short period of time, but everybody should leave the body, whoever takes birth in this material world at some point. So we see that, the demigods or Lord Brahma, they live many years. Like Lord Brahma is mentioned that he will live in this material world for trillions of years, but still he has to leave the body at some point. So that's why time is very powerful. So time will bring people together, and the same time, in due course of time, people will be separated. So we see that, people today, they might be together, but after some time, so they will be separated. So one may leave the body, or one may go to a different place, like that. And it is mentioned that as soon as one born in this material world, the influence of the time starts immediately. Like Bhagavatam mentions that, Ayur Harati Vaipumsam, like, every sunrise and sunset, one's duration of the life is decreased by 1 day. So that's why Chanakya Pandita says that, so each and every moment of the time should be utilized for the best interest. Because once that moment of the time is gone, then one cannot bring back even with millions of dollars. So that much of the value, because I'm talking to myself. So that's why it should be utilized for the best interest. So what is that best interest? Tasyardhyat kshano nita uttama slokavatya. Like, one should spend their time in the process of path of bhakti, and the process of bhakti. So which brings that person closer to Krishna. That is the ultimate goal of the human life, or that is the best interest of a living entity. And here Mother Devavati is mentioning that whose influence people in general engage performance of pious activities. And Prabhupada mentions that some people, so they perform the pious activities with intention that so they will not fall down into the lower species in the next life, or they will be elevated to the higher planet systems. And we understand from Bhagavad Gita that, whichever the planet you go, so Brahma Bhuvana Loka, so Punaravarti Rajna, like, they will continue through the birth and death, old age, diseases, like that. So definitely the performing the pious activities is better, but that's not the best, because you still continue through the suffering of this material world. We see that as the Kali Yuga progress, people, many of them are not performing even the pious activities. So that's why the destination is very dangerous. So in the sloka 5, we see that, Mother Devavati is mentioning that Kapila Bhagavan is like the sun. So who illuminate the darkness of the conditional life of the living entities by giving the knowledge. So you will open the eyes of the conditioned living entities with the knowledge, because they are sleeping eternally in the darkness without the shelter of the Supreme Lord. So that's why they are falsely engaged in the fruitive activities, and they are continued their actions and reactions. Whatever the actions that they perform, the reactions will come. And due to that, they appear to be very fatigued. And some of Mother Devavati is very much concerned about the general people, so who are not able to perform the process of bhakti, not knowing that they're not knowing how to escape the suffering of this material world. And Prahlad Maharaj also mentions that Nataviduhu Swadhagatim Vishnam. And people generally, they don't know that the goal of the human life is to take up the path of bhakti, worship the Supreme Lord Vishnu or Krishna, like that. So, and because they don't know that, so they are performing activities which gives the reactions, and it keeps them into this material world. So the continued journey of birth and death, like that. And they are going through the various reactions or various sufferings, like Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, or this 3 types of miseries, the miseries of coming from the other living entities, the miseries that are caused by our own body, mind, or the miseries that are coming from the higher powers, the natural disturbances, like too cold, too hot, or the earthquakes, or the tsunamis, like that. That's why Prahlad Maharaj says that in this material world, people are always distressed. Sada samudvigna dhiyam, like that. So here, that's why Mother Devahuti is requesting to give this knowledge so that the general people, everyone, can take up advantage of this knowledge and then wake up from the sleep. So which is they are sleeping eternal in the darkness or the Maya. So that's why we see that, the Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings, Jiva Jago, Gaura Chandra Bole, like, So Lord Gauranga is calling, wake up, like that. And he's saying that in that song, he says that I have brought the medicine, so which will wipe out the disease of illusion from which everybody is suffering. So what is that medicine? Harinama Mahamantra, like, this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So with this medicine, one can be escaped from all the sufferings that one goes through in this material world. So in the next sloka, we see that Maitreya Muni, of course, this conversation is happening between Maitreya Muni and Vidura. So, and Maitreya Muni is saying that here, when the Kapila Bhagavan, he heard the questions of Mother Devahuti, he moved by the great compassion and pleased by the questions of his mother. And Prabhupada mentions that in the purport that I think somebody is not unmuted. Okay. Prabhupada mentions in the purport that Kapila Bhagavan is very pleased because Mother Devahuti is not only looking for her benefit, but also to the general people. So that is the compassion of a devotee. And this compassion attracts the Supreme Lord Krishna, because Krishna is compassionate towards the fallen souls. So when he sees someone is showing compassion towards the fallen soul, then Krishna becomes very pleased by that person, because he is showing the compassion to the other conditioned living souls. That's why Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that so those devotees who helps other devotees to progress in the path of bhakti, they are very dear to him. And pure devotional service is guaranteed to them, and then at the end of their life, they'll go back home, back to Godhead. They'll go to Krishna. So because that compassion attracts Krishna. So not only Krishna, even other saintly people also gets attracted by the compassion of any person who shows it. So the great saintly people, they don't attract by the person's beauty or strength or wealth. So they only attracted by the compassion of a person. So that's a very nice quality of a devotee. So, and now Lord Kapila is started replying to Mother Devahuti, saying that, there are multifarious paths of devotional service. So that all depends on the different qualities of the executor. And Prabhupada mentions that actually the path of pure devotional service is only one. Anyavilashata sunyam. Like, the pure devotee will not have any motives, or he doesn't have any sense gratification requests to Krishna. So he performs all devotional activities which are favorable. So whatever Krishna desires, he will perform. Anukulyena Krishna Anushila. But there are some devotees, there are levels of the devotees, like, so they have, they perform the path of bhakti with a motivation. Like, they may have wanted to have some material benefit, or they are looking some relief from the problems that they are going through, like that. Like Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, am I right? Chaturveda bhajante mam, jana sukrituna arjuna. So there are 4 types of people, but all are very pious people. Otherwise, they cannot take up the process of bhakti. Or else a devotee's mercy should be there on a person who doesn't have a sukriti. So that person can be connected to path of bhakti. But these four types of people are like Ardho, Jignasur, Ardhardi, Gnani, Chapatarshapa. Like these four types of people who are very pious, so they will take up the process of bhakti. So, like, Ardho, Ardhardi, somebody is looking for some relief from the distress, or Ardhardi, like, they are looking for some material benefits, like wealth or like that. We have examples like, Gajendra is distressed and he took up the process of bhakti to get relief from the distress. Like Dhruva Maharaj was looking for a wealth, greater kingdom than his father, or like that. And then he took up the path of bhakti, like that. So that's why Kapila Bhagavan is mentioning that, so based on the devotee's condition, devotional service appears to be multifarious. But of course, actually, it is only one, the pure devotional service. And here Kapila Bhagavan explains what are those different types. So devotional service executed by a person who is envious, proud, violent, and angry. So that is in the mode of darkness. So, and Prabhupada mentions that the devotional service is appatihata haitika, and there should not be any motiveness. But a devotee who performs with a tendency of envious, proud, violent, and angry, so they are in the mode of the darkness or ignorance. So that's the lowest of the devotional service. So even though a devotee is performing devotional service with this kind of things, but still he has accepted Krishna as the Supreme Lord, and he understands that the goal of the human life is developing the love for Krishna, or go back home, back to Godhead. So that's why every other devotee should give all respect to him. Amani namanadena kirtaniya sadhar, like, one should give respect to everyone. So, and then in text 9, we see that, the devotional service that is performed in the mode of passion. So, what is that? In the temple by separate with the motive for material enjoyment, or fame, or opulence. So, this is the mode of passion. So, some devotees, so they wanted to have, they take up the process of bhakti for some material enjoyment, or they want to become famous, or they want to become, they want to enjoy some material things like that, That is not the interest of the Supreme Lord. So that's why it is called separatist. So if their interest is not in line with the Supreme Lord's interest, then it is called separatist. So this kind of devotional service, when one does, it's called mode of passion. So that's why if somebody wants to become, by the mercy of the devotions that they are doing, so that's mode of the passion. So that's why some devotees, so whenever somebody glorifies them, then immediately they forward that glorification to Guru, Srila Prabhupada, or Gauranga, like that. So externally they may say thank you for the appreciation, but internally they offer all the credits to Srila Prabhupada or Guru Gauranga, like that. And in the text 10, we see that a devotee who worships the Supreme Lord and offers the results of his activities in order to free himself from the inebrities of the fruit activities. That type of devotion is called mode of goodness. And Prabhupada explains that as per the Vedic lifestyle, so the society is divided into 4 varnas and 4 ashramas. Chaturvarnam maya system, gunakarma vibhagsha, like that. So based on their qualities and activities. So whichever varna, whichever ashrama they are situated, and whatever the activities that are prescribed, so by doing their activities, whatever the results that comes, if they offer that to Supreme Lord for his pleasure, then they are, if they have done those activities faultly, so those things will be atoned, because they are offering the results to the Supreme Lord. So that kind of devotion is called in mode of goodness. But still, this is not the pure devotion service, because the 4 varnas, they act for some benefit. So in accordance with their personal interest. That's what Prabhupada mentions. Like one wants to get married. They want to enter into Grihastha Ashramam because they want to get married and they want to have a good house. They want to have some children. They want to have that kind of attachment. So there is some mixed interest. So that's why it's not pure devotion service. So we have three modes here: mode of darkness, or mode of ignorance, mode of passion, mode of goodness. And Prabhupada mentions that the devotional service, there are 9 types of devotional service. Navavida bhakti, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, like that, um, listening, Shravanam, hearing and chanting, and then remembering, and then the serving the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, Pada Sevanam, like that. There are 9 types of devotional service. And we have 3 types of modes, trigunas. So mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. And then each mode, the guna is divided into 3. Like, the mode of ignorance is divided into 3, like himsa or matsarya or dhamba, like envious or proud and violent and angry. So these are 3 types: envious, proud, violent and angry. So each mode is again divided into 3. So we have 9 types of devotional service: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, like that. And we have 3 modes: mode of passion, mode of ignorance, mode of goodness. And each mode is divided into 3. So it's a 9 into 3 into 3. So total 81. So 9 threes, 9 into 3 and multiply by 3. So there are 81 types of devotional categories. So that's what Kapila Bhagavan mentioned, various of different types of devotion service in the path of bhakti. And then in the 11 and 12 sloka, Prabhupada, Kapil Bhagavan mentions the pure devotion service. So the pure devotion service is unadulterated and it is not mixed with any gunas. So those 3 gunas. And one's mind is attracted to hearing the transcendental name and qualities of the Supreme Lord. And that kind of devotion service is like the water of the Ganges flows naturally down towards the ocean. So that kind of devotion ecstasy is uninterrupted by any material condition, and it flows towards the Supreme Lord. So this is the pure devotion service. Prabhupada mentions in the purport that the basic principles of the pure devotion service is unadulterated. It's not mixed with any modes. Nistraygunya, Bhavajna, like it's above the 3 modes. And this pure devotion attracts the Supreme Lord because the Supreme Lord is above the 3 modes. In fact, those 3 modes works under the direction of Krishna. So because he is above the 3 modes, and this unadulterated pure devotion service is not mixed with any modes, so above the 3 modes, that's why Krishna is attracted with the pure devotional service. So that kind of pure devotee is attracted as soon as he hears the Supreme Lord's name or qualities, pastimes, or anything like that. It's naturally is attracted. So he doesn't need to practice any meditation to attain that kind of such attraction, because he has a natural attraction to the holy name or the pastimes or the qualities of the Supreme Lord. That is uninterrupted. Ahaitika, aprathayitika, like, so it is uninterrupted and there is no motive in that. And his life is and his activities are always surrounded by Krishna. So 24/7 his activities, if we look at, Krishna is the center. So that kind of devotion service is very pleased by the Supreme Lord. So if we see from the life of great devotees, so we hear that they are attracted as soon as they hear the holy name of the Supreme Lord, pastimes, they go into ecstasy. Like if we listen the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so as soon as he hears Krishna's name or the pastimes, he'll go into ecstasy. So that's why the kirtan that Mahaprabhu and his all the devotees does, it goes continuously, like hours and hours and hours and hours. Okay, that's a natural attraction. So this is a very nice section here we see here. like, it talks about the different types of devotional levels. So it's very helpful for a practicing devotees to check ourselves time to time. So where we are, I'm talking to myself, whether our sadhana we are doing in the mode of ignorance or mode of passion or mode of ignorance, goodness. So it's good that we check it, like, to see, are we doing the devotional activities, and by doing the devotional activities, are we popped up, or we are envious of other devotees advancement? So something like that. We check all these kind of things, and see how we can progress towards the pure devotional service, not for looking any name or fame or some kind of wealth, or to enjoy the material things, those kind of things. So we can check ourselves and then progress slowly towards the path of bhakti, the pure devotional service. So I'll pause it here. Thank you all for giving this opportunity. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, Ati Albil Sri Radha Mataji has a question in the chat. Could you take a look, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah. How do you help a fallen soul who is always rude due to ego, caused by wealth, proud, anger? They always think they know everything. Yeah. So it's very good question, Mataji. Of course, everybody is trying to progress towards the path of bhakti. So the devotee who has those kind of things, if they can associate with the devotees who are more advanced and take their help, and then practice based on those instructions, so slowly those qualities will go away. And if we see the devotee who has connected the process of bhakti from the starting point when they connected, and after practicing few years, we see that those are slowly the bad qualities, or the qualities that are not helpful for progressing towards the path of bhakti will slowly reduced. It will go away. But if they continue to practice this path of bhakti and associate with the devotees who are very much advanced and take their help, then that would help one to slowly progress to the pure devotional path. So that's something that I thought to add it here. If anybody has anything that you want to add, so please feel free to add it.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. Nice answer. Yeah, that's very helpful. Yeah, in case they're not already a devotee, then the best way is to give them opportunity to serve devotees somehow, like some sukriti they can develop, coming to temple, donating something, or doing some seva for a devotee, doing some seva in the temple, like that, Mataji. But if they're devotee, then perfect, like what Krishna and Prabhu already described. Ultimately, they need to come to association of devotees, but people will not be inclined to come to association of devotees until they have some sukriti. Yeah.
So, Prabhuji, sukriti can be developed by prasadam also, correct? By
Absolutely.
serving.
Yeah, some contact with Krishna and any of the forms of his mercy. Absolutely, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Yep.
That's also service. Yeah.
So Prabhuji, the another question would be, it's very hard to, I guess, not only convince but also bring them to a temple. Sometimes, sometimes I will just say, you have to come see the deities. They're so beautiful, like mesmerizing. It's one of the most beautiful temple. That's how I try to convince them to come. Hoping and praying that something will change within them, but with some people they're very hardcore inside. It's very hard, to convince them, even to get your point across.
Yeah, absolutely, Mate. Yeah, that's why then we need to give them sukriti somehow or other. Like Himanshu Prabhu was saying, one option is you take the prasadam to them. You give them the option for them to serve somehow by sitting in the home, for example. They can make a call for the temple festival to friends, or they can give some donation for the temple service, or they can just eat prasadam. That's the best we can do. Like that, Mate. Somehow they can, or when you have a home program, and because you are a friend, as an obligation, they'll come to your home. So
Right,
that way they can hear some kirtan potentially and take some prasadam like that. But
Okay, Prabhuji.
the
Yeah.
point is important. Like that's why Krishna says in Bhagavatam, humility is the first quality for knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm proud, I don't want to listen to you because I
Right,
think I'm
right.
already know everything. I don't want to listen to anybody else.
Yeah, the ego takes over like
Correct.
crazy.
Yeah. But then when the opportunity comes, like Sukriti develops, then they'll be inclined to hear to a devotee like that later on.
Okay, okay. Does it, I mean, is it necessary that, I guess you can just put the seed in and you don't know when it will happen. You can just like try, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. All of us will put one step basically. We all, for example, you give some prasadam, someone, other devotee calls him for home program, and the devotee gives him opportunity to take a book of Prabhupada, and the devotee gives an opportunity to do some other seva, like tell me, I need to go to airport, can you please drop me? That's also seva
Right.
for a devotee. Like that, slowly the Sukriti will build up, and then what stage, when a pure devotee, when they come in contact with pure devotee, then they'll be open to listening, like that.
Yeah, we try our best and Krishna will help them.
So if they're senior enough in age, then it's a little bit beyond our control because we can only do what Prabhuji said, like give prasadam, maybe take them to the temple and things like that, and then leave the rest to Krishna. Because of time and circumstances, it's kind of hard to help them fully fledged.
Yes, Mother, yeah. And other thing we could do is always pray for them so that way they get opportunity to serve devotees somehow.
Okay, Prabhuji. Yeah,
Thank you.
good idea.
Thank you.
Yes, yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mataji, for nice question.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for a wonderful class, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Very nice.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare